Trainspotting is a 1996 cult classic film directed by Danny Boyle and is an adaptation of the 1993 novel written by Irvine Welsh of the same name. Some may be disappointed to find out that, despite its name, this film has absolutely nothing to do with trains. In fact, you only see a train once. So if you pick this film up thinking it's about train enthusiasts and you're expecting to see something like this, I'd suggest probably not watching it because this may not be the film for you. The most simplistic way to describe Trainspotting is that it's a stylish film with a fantastic soundtrack and a catchy slogan that tells the story of 5 friends in late 1980s Scotland, 3 of which who are heroin addicts, one who later becomes a heroin addict and then dies of AIDS, and another who, for lack of a better words, is just a complete jackass. A more complex summary of the film, however, is that it really is a raw and unique look at the human condition. It explores themes of morality, society, friendship, betrayal, class, alienation, rebellion, and maintaining the status quo. But the most important of its themes, and the one at the center of everything, is addiction. Each of these themes are explored through the eyes of the main character Mark Rinton, a young heroin addict with an extremely nihilistic outlook on life. Through Rinton's experience and narration, we see the surreal extremes that an addict is willing to go to get high, and the horror and damage this addiction can lead to. This brings us to the main topic of the video. Because the story is told solely from Rinton's point of view, we are restricted in what we know and see. But this restriction leads to something really interesting that we wouldn't get if the story was unrestricted. Most people who watch this film would assume that some of the scenes are surreal and not grounded in realism, but I'd say this isn't the case. After all, we're being given a raw look into the life of an addict through their own eyes. So I'd argue that while some of these scenes definitely are surreal, they are also realistic depictions of addiction and how these moments really seem to Rinton. The first time we see one of these really surreal moments and the insane lengths Rinton is willing to go to get high is close to the beginning of the film when he decides he's going to try and get sober, only to want one more hit 5 minutes later. So he goes to one of his dealers who gives him suppositories which he immediately puts in, only to realize moments later that the heroin-induced constipation he is currently experiencing is about to quickly come to an end. So, I will warn you, the scene that we're about to see is a little gross, so if you get squeamish about those things, I'd take that into consideration and maybe not watch this part. Okay, so let me clarify something. When I say that this scene is grounded in realism, I don't mean that this is exactly how it happened. Instead, what I really mean is that because this is how Rinton remembers it, and because we were restricted to Rinton's perspective, we were forced to accept it as reality and something that actually did happen to him. And this is even reinforced in the next scene when Rinton returns to his apartment, soaking wet. This next scene is one of the more powerful and impactful scenes in the film, and it's not just because Rinton ODs and is on the brink of life or death. Instead, it is because we take Rinton's point of view as he overdoses.
Just a perfect day. Drink sangria in the park. And then later,
perhaps sir would like me to go for a taxi.
Now yes, this scene is heavily stylized, but it stays true to the notion that this is how Rinton experienced this moment, and because we are restricted to his perspective, it is grounded in reality. And the scene even takes that idea one step further by actually making us see from Rinton's point of view. The next and final scene we look at directly follows Rinton's overdose. His parents lock him in a room and force him to go through the withdrawal process, and it's honestly nothing short of horrifying.
Is he guilty or not guilty?
He's our son.
This scene, like the other two scenes, relies heavily on surreal visuals, but also like the other two scenes, it's all from Ritten's perspective, and because of that, the surreal visuals are grounded in realism. And to me, that makes this scene the most powerful scene in the film, as it perfectly captures the pain and terror that Ritten is experiencing in this moment, and it also perfectly utilizes its restrictive narrative. Okay, so you may be asking yourself, what is it that I'm trying to say, and why did I just make you watch these clips? Especially the one of a man digging through his own diarrhea. Well, in short, it's that this story follows a restrictive narrative design, and because of that, the surreal things we see and are told about are all real and grounded in realism, according to Ritten. Now, the more out there and kind of philosophical take that I have on it is that these visuals are only surreal to us because we aren't heroin addicts. And because of that, we can't truly relate to Renton and the things he's experienced. But nonetheless, because the story is told through a restrictive narrative, they are all real no matter how absurd or terrifying they may seem. And to me, that's what makes this film special. It's able to deliver a raw and gritty look into the experiences of an addict and show it all from their perspective. So, if you've never seen this movie before and you're thinking to yourself, this sounds super depressing, I really urge you to reconsider that. When I tell you this is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my life, it's hilarious, which is really odd to say when you're talking about people dying, doing heroin, all this other stuff. But please, go watch this movie. It's easily Ewan McGregor's greatest performance, and just an overall masterpiece.